Good evening, welcome to Business Q&A. Well, it's about 60 days to go till the World Cup. Tonight we're going to be taking a look at how companies are using scenario planning to prepare themselves for the tournament. I'm joined by Paul Fletcher, who's the director at Business Today. Paul, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Sumit.
Just tell us, how are companies using scenario planning to prepare themselves for the tournament?
To a very large degree, they have already used it because obviously the planning needs to have taken place a long time before now. A lot of it is actually implementing scenarios that they have decided are the way they need to go for the world plan. A strong focus at the moment for many of the customers we work with is on customer service and helping those people who are in the front line understand the impact that they have in the business, their personal impact in the business and on the performance of the business.
So this is clearly geared towards those companies that are operating within the hospitality and tourism sort of industries.
A lot of focus there, obviously, but also in the retail sector there's a lot of that focus too.
Is there a case where you find that companies have totally missed the boat as far as preparing themselves for the event?
I think there are certainly cases like that. I think a lot of companies cut back a lot on training expenditure because of the recession and have found themselves with a very short lead time up to the World Cup to implement the changes that they now suspect they should have made.
Now, in your opinion, you've obviously helped conduct a lot of the training. What are some of the key things that are coming out of these scenarios that you implement for these companies?
I think it's making sure, or the key issue is making sure that all of the people in an organization understand the business that they're in and how they all contribute to its performance. So it's not just about scenarios that have been put together in some meeting room and some top level managers have made decisions. It's about making sure that everybody understands their role so that they're aligned and committed to delivering the performance that the business requires.
A little earlier you were talking about personal impact.
Absolutely, because I think for a lot of people they still suffer from an alienation of how do I impact the actual bottom line performance of the business. They see results being published, and what we do in the simulations is help people understand how they impact those bottom line results and how their decisions and actions impact on the outcomes for the business.
Paul, we're doing a lot of preparation for the Cup,
Yes.
Doing a lot of things to take us through the event. What about post the World Cup? How does this assist these companies? Is there continuity that's built into these exercises?
Well, I think certainly for a lot of the training departments that we would deal with, there's a lot of the training has been done now. It's about making sure that everything is implemented, and they're preparing themselves for post-World Cup. What are we going to do to ensure that the new environment that we might find ourselves in, which is combined with the coming out of the recession, it's not just about the World Cup, how are we going to respond to the new competitive environment, the changes that have taken place during the recession and through the World Cup?
A typical scenario exercise for a medium-sized company, what would this cost?
Well, it depends on whether we have to design a completely new simulation for them. But when we're talking about a 2 or 3 day program, it's anything from 4,000 to 5,000 rands a head, a delegate that we would run the training for. But if we're actually designing the simulation, it can be anything from a modification of an existing one to an origination which could cost 300,000 or 400,000 rands.
Has there been an increase in demand for scenario planning, you think?
Well, certainly we're finding that a lot more people are using simulations because they believe more in experiential learning. And I think that's been a big thing, that they're finding that traditional training methods don't necessarily change people's attitudes as well as the simulation experience does.
And that's obviously one of the major pluses. It's the fact that you can actually learn on the job, so to speak.
Absolutely. It's actually allowing people to gain experience, but in a safe environment, by discovering the truth for themselves rather than being told it. Because we believe that people will only learn when they discover that truth for themselves. It's how they will shift attitude.
Now, we've talked about the hospitality industry. That's because it's geared around the World Cup. But what other industries is scenario planning geared towards?
Well, any industry can use a simulation to develop people's understanding of the business they're in. We work in the mining sector, we work in FMCG, we work in airlines, we work in pharmaceuticals, you name it. We can customize simulations to that industry, focusing on that industry's issues.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. That is Paul Fletcher, who's the director at Business Today. That's your Business Q&A. Thanks for watching.